Australia is one of the first countries in the world to celebrate New Year's, and 60% of you guys are in America, it's still your weekend. But we have a lot to talk about. We have a lot to talk about this past weekend. We have a lot to talk about moving forward. There's fights that start here in Australia Wednesday night that I'm going to, and then we know the big weekend ahead. Bam, Usyk, Fedora, Zoo, the list goes on and on. I know a lot of you guys are Max Sayo fans. There's a lot of fights on the undercard. So there is a lot to get into, right? I will be uploading a couple fights from this coming Wednesday night on the channel. If you guys are new to the channel, hit subscribe. I'll let you guys tap in, check in whenever you guys are checking in. Like this video. Also, if you haven't already, a new feature on the channel, Johnny Says Boxing Insider. A couple bucks a month gets you into that group. Also, a lot of you guys are on Instagram and you're following me as of late. All you have to do is search me on Insta, Johnny Stavko. Follow me, and I'll follow you back. And this way, you guys are sending me your betting tickets, your betting slips. It's a bit easier for me to share them, whether I win or you win, or I lose and you win. So it works both ways. The longer you stay on my channel, the more you'll know. I really don't care. I do this for you guys, so I want you guys to win. So when I hear tickets like last night, the boys who went against my pick with Berlanga and you picked Sheeraz and you won, dude, that makes me happy. I'm glad you didn't listen to me. But I do want to, before I continue, I'm going to call you haters out too. So I roll hate. I like haters, my whole life. So I'm just going to give you 1 second on this. AJ, I think you've been trolling me the last 24 hours. If you go to my YouTube and look in the comments, it kind of bums me out that I'm forgetting your name. Yeah, it's AJ_1988. You've been trolling me on all my posts saying that my picks were horrendous. So I can't get them all right, mate. I apologize if I disappointed you. Lost a couple close split decisions. I'm still standing on the hill that I thought I bet on the one girl fight, AJ. Katie versus Amanda. That was a close fight. Playo versus Matthias. That was a close fight. I feel like I got gifted the Morel win, but I still think Morel did enough after he got knocked down. And the Berlanga, obviously, that was a big miss on my end. But those are just my long parlays, AJ. When you say I'm horrendous, you then have to say that I hit a 9-1 yesterday on the UFC picks that I gave you during the lives. That came in. We also hit for the third straight week our lock of the weeks. The boys are winning thousands on that. Morel money line, Shakur money line, and also method of victory. My biggest win of the month yesterday, Shakur by decision, and Berlanga and Sheeraz not to go the distance. You mix the $1.90 with the $1.50 and you're eating. So if you want to call me horrendous, I'll take that and run with it. Now that we got that out of the way, what's up, boys? 30 people in, 8 people liking this. Let's get the likes up. And let's get to it. I went on Gary from 3D Boxing's live yesterday after Berlanga got stopped. We talked a little bit about it. He was talking about how he wanted my opinion on the girls. He was saying a lot of people were saying Ramla Ali was gifted. I don't bet on the girl cards. I did bet on Amanda. I do want to say that I like Amanda Serrano's adjustments going into their trilogy. But I must admit, I feel like she lost a little bit of herself in that third fight. I feel partially what makes Amanda is her willingness to exchange, not even recklessness, just the dog. And I kind of don't agree with her game plan going into the trilogy. I feel like she lost, dare I say, a bit of her identity in the third fight, not engaging as much. And I get it. The judges didn't like the first two. And they went the other way, and the judges didn't like the third one. So hopefully they put a bookend on that rivalry, and we don't see that again. I actually don't want to see them fight again. Certain stylistically, you're going to get razor-close decisions. Moving forward, like I said, Morel and Katiev literally played out exactly how I thought it was going to play out, except that Morel didn't stop Katiev. And, it wasn't a 50-50. We picked Morel. I'm not going to call that a gift. Was I stressed? If I would have had 50K on that, I would have been stressed. But I'm not betting to get rich, so I wasn't stressed. I know some of you boys won a lot of money on that pick, so kudos to you. I still think Playo beat Matthias. I'm not salty that I lost that bet either. Kudos to Matthias. I'm a fan of Subaru Matthias. He's really shown a lot after losing to Pero and losing his belt, being able to come back and become a world champion again. So whether it's the matchmakers, the promoters, the judges who look at Matthias as a more marketable champion, which we know that's the case. It was I gave Subriel, I mean, 3 of the last 4 rounds. I gave him the early rounds. I thought he won by 2. I gave Playo, I mean, the later rounds. I had Playo up by 2, and the decision went against me. Oh well. Guys, when I do my long parlays, I'm putting like 10 or 25 bucks on those. When I'm doing my YouTube channel money line bets, those are part of my long parlays, 10, 25 bucks on those, sometimes 50. I go really heavy on my lock of the weeks. You guys should know this by now. If you're going heavy, the odds are going to be smaller, but in terms of risk versus reward, I go heavy on my lock of the weeks and my method of victories. So fortunately for me, I hit on those. And from the tickets you guys were sending me, a lot of you boys hit on those as well. Shakur Stevenson versus Zepeda played out exactly how I thought it was going to play out. I thought going into the weekend, that was Shakur by decision was probably hands down the best pick. We went heavy on that. We got that right. Shakur's a goddamn dog, world class. And I just thought, and you guys saw his defense, his skills, his precision was going to be way too much versus Zepeda. And then Berlanga and Sheeraz, just like, I'm not going to bet on a guy who I doubt. So I doubted Sheeraz, and in boxing, boxing's all about proving your doubters wrong. I had Berlanga on my YouTube prediction, my long parlay, but I went heavy at $1.90. I told you guys the live stream right before the card. Another one of the biggest steals of the week was taking Berlanga and Sheeraz to not go the distance at $1.90. 10,000 would have gotten you 9,000. So I went heavy on that. And moving forward, I feel like I've caught up with all of the fights, all the predictions. Now I'm going to get to some of your comments. Koki, close fights aren't robberies. I didn't call anything a robbery. But you were right about Berlanga and Sheeraz. Shakur under 1.5. Shakur knockdowns. We were right on that. Playo for sure got robbed. Guys, I'm not calling anything robberies, by the way. If I said that, I misspoke. I agree with Koki. No, what did I call a robbery? Turkey robbing Playo. Just because I feel Playo won doesn't mean he was robbed. People saying Shakur's chin. Shakur got hit with an uppercut early, and now he's chinny. You guys are insane. Oh, Koki, I feel you, brother. It's all good. No, we're good. Dude, this is why we like the live. We go back and forth. I know David Eister, I missed a lot of your comments early on, but I'm doing my best to focus the first 5 minutes of the live stream on the speaking narrative. I know you were commenting a lot. And to be fair to Eister, he was in the comment section. He was talking about he doesn't like calling fighters bums or, there you go. But, man, look at why I thought. No, you were. Guys, there's going to be back and. How do I say this? If you understand. On my channel, I put myself in a position to have to pick a winner when I do my breakdown videos, right? If I were to do my breakdown videos and I leaned on the fence and said, I don't know, guys, what do you guys think of me? It's in the human DNA, the human psychology to respect somebody, even if they're wrong, more than a fence sitter. I don't know about you guys, but I do not, I don't like hanging out with fence sitters. I think we all have that one friend who, you're out with your group of buddies and you guys are disagreeing about something and one side is obviously right, maybe one or two are wrong, and then your one mate never gets into it. He's a fence sitter. If I did that on my videos, I was like, I just think that Berlanga and Sheeraz, I'm not going to pick this one. You guys would be like, what the hell? So yeah, I picked Berlanga. I was wrong. I'm fine with it. But I'm pretty sure I was super clear all week that the pick was the proper pick. If you were betting a lot of money on it, was the fight to not go the distance. So if you guys are losing more money than you could afford, stop gambling. I always say, if you're not having fun with this, if you're not entertained, if you're not, doing your own research, stop doing it. What else? I got to be honest with you. When I get tickets sent to me on Instagram or email from you guys who win not listening to me, because a lot of you guys agreed like 80%, 90%, but went against my Berlanga pick and went against the Katie Taylor pick and you won, I still post those. I love when you do that. Who's 100% correct? And how boring would that be if we agreed on everything as well? So get used to that, guys. Get used to it. Just because we disagree doesn't mean that, you got to take it personal. I don't take anything personal, except when I'm called a liar. The only way I take it personal is in the comment sections. If people call me a liar because I have ethics and I hold my word true, as well as just blatantly saying lies about me. Then I'll call you out. AJ underscore 1988, send location. I had a feeling that Edgar was going to get hurt. Yep, Koki, Matthias, and Smith. I'm not too excited about that fight. Are you? I'm not, guys. I gotta be honest. We covered Dalton Smith his last fight. He fought Matthew Germain, the Canadian who came over. I felt like Dalton Smith. That card was built around Dalton Smith. Dalton Smith was supposed to get the stoppage. I thought maybe Dalton Smith didn't fight up to his opponent. Matthew Germain was a Canadian, not a household name, and I'm not too impressed with Dalton Smith. I think Dalton Smith might be tailor-made for Matthias to go to work. He's athletic, but I'm not so. I don't see why that fight gets made when you have so many other guys at 140 with bigger names. If they're trying to promote, if they're trying to like do what they're saying to do. I'm not either. Yeah, David. Yeah, we covered him on the channel. He's a Brit. You know how the Brits go. A lot of Brits will get brought up. Why are they? I don't know. How can Turkey? I don't know. Koki. I thought Puello, dude. I thought Matthias boxed well. I thought Matthias faded late. I thought Puello did exactly what I thought he was gonna do. Right? Puello did everything he said he was gonna do. The fight went. I was texting Gary and Muscles throughout the fight. The fight played out exactly how I predicted, except the judges didn't give me the decision. That's why I was salty. You know, I'm not calling that a robbery. Yeah, a lot of people knew Hamza was good. Dude, once again, go even to my prediction video. I said Hamza was a better athlete. Hamza was more talented. Hamza had more tools. Hamza has a more path to victory. I said all that. But at the same time, after his performance against Adames, you know, I thought it was a sexy pick to go with Berlanga. We don't get those right all the time. And are we forgetting Berlanga was the underdog? So if you want to crucify me for not getting underdogs right, go ahead, mate. Do what you need to do. My old baseball coach used to say, if we lose this game and you go home and your parents are yelling at you and your dad's yelling at you because we lost this baseball game, tell him to call me. He's like, I got big shoulders. I could take all that stress. So yeah, if you're gonna come at me for hitting wrong on an underdog, keep coming, baby. They said Hamza want to fight Ben. No, Hamza, don't fight Benny next. Eating corners and pain. I messed up the part. But Mark, man, that's the game we play. Mark Vasquez in the house. Did you find boys be crying once again? I try to do my best. Being getting into boxing as a 7-year-old, being a competitive athlete my whole life. Obviously, I take this very, very serious. I try not to use the word robberies because we could rewatch the tape and see how the decision went the other way. We could always say, "Wow, our guy could have did enough," or "Right here, this was a moment where he could have did enough." I thought the optics, I thought the game plan, I thought Puello boxed masterfully. I did. Now, getting the Morrell money line, calling the Morrell fight. That knockdown was, he got dropped. We knew Kataev was going to be dangerous. I talked about that. But we also knew Kataev was going to fade. I gave Morrell a lot of those later rounds, guys. Yeah, people were even talking about Sheeraz beating Canelo. And I'm like, what the hell are we talking about, guys? I mean, I'm not one of these guys that are going to sit on a mountain and say because Sheeraz stopped Berlanga that he's all of a sudden going to beat Benny and he's going to beat Canelo. How can we say that? How can we say it? I want to see Sheeraz fight Alam Hanalei at 60. I think he has unfinished business there. I think Alam Hanalei would give Sheeraz. I think Alam Hanalei would take his lunch money, dude. I'm dead serious. There's guys at 60 that I would take over Sheeraz. Pacheco, Diego. Well, Diego has to get through Macumbi. I got to be the only one that agree with the judges. I don't know because it was there. Goat, I got your photos, Goat. I'm going to share those photos. So, Goat, one of our guys on the channel, he was at the fights. Goat, what was the energy like, man? It looked like a pretty good card. What's he over under Berlanga throwing a parade? Guys, that's the move. It was a crazy weekend in sport. Guys, that was a move. Do you think Berlanga is going to have a parade? Surely he's not having a parade here. But Ed did call some boys out too, though. Yes, Yo-Yo versus Sheeraz is the fight. Pacheco's going to destroy him. Yeah, Pacheco gets better and better, man. I'm high on Diego. I want to see that kid keep rounding his game up. Best card I've ever seen live. Matt, thank you, brother, for the Matt supporting the channel. Appreciate you, Borgensen. Let me tell you, until I see some head movement from UK fighters under cruiserweight, they ain't got to shun. Yeah, Matt Borgensen supporting the channel. I appreciate the feedback. And so, Matt, what do you think about? Are we referring to Dalton Smith, or are we referring to Sheeraz? I would pump the brakes on Sheeraz versus Benny. I would pump the brakes on Sheeraz versus Canelo. I'm on my way back to Delaware from New York. Safe travels, GOAT. We appreciate you. Sheeraz is mid. Yeah, amazing card. One of the best. It was a great card. It was a great card, mate. So let's keep getting this simmering going. What do you, guys, if you watch the girls, if you watched last night, what fighter impressed you the most? Yeah, Fresh. Come on, baby. Fresh BX. I know. I have to pick one of them. I didn't go heavy on him, though, Fresh. Yeah, okay, so Matt wasn't obviously sold 100% on Shakur yet until he said he surprised him. See, Matt, I don't know if it was me. Sometimes when you watch too much boxing, you could get a little bit biased. So I remember Shakur fighting amateurs. I remember Shakur on the come up. And then some of my favorite fighters at the time were kind of like always talking high about Shakur, always talking high on Stevenson. So every time I'd see Stevenson fight, even when he didn't have great performances, I would watch Shakur and look at what he is at his best. You know what I'm saying? Even if he wasn't, people talk about Conceição, people talk about the De Los Santos fight. But even when I would see those fights, I would still see the Shakur, the potential of that timing, that front foot, that counter. Dude, I'm good for him. You know what I'm saying? He so much hate he was getting over the last few years, and being a professional fighter, choosing that path, it's not easy. Yeah, GOAT. You're talking to the choir here, GOAT. Yeah, Shakur just does a lot of the little things. David needs to move back down. He doesn't look good at his weight. Pitbull. Morrell. Yeah, Morrell doesn't look. I'm sorry, but Green did not win that fight. Shadesha. Yeah. We could talk about Shadesha Green versus Savannah Marshall. It's Shadesha Green versus Savannah Marshall. I didn't bet on those fights, just so I could clarify that. But it's interesting how one punch could change the trajectory of a game plan. I think it was the third or fourth round. Savannah Marshall was cruising. She was on her way to a victory. And Shadesha lands that punch over the ear and doesn't drop her, but really affected her. And I feel that point moving forward, Marshall never looked the same, never really had her legs. Was that one punch and Shadesha's work afterwards enough to take the decision? Going into the judges' scorecards, I had Savannah winning the fight. But like I said, I didn't have money on it. I didn't have a horse in the fight. I did think Savannah did enough, but like I said, I'd have to rewatch it. I wasn't too invested in it. The one thing I liked the most about that fight, and this is going to sound probably, like a moot point, was the fact that when you watch Savannah fight, you can tell who her trainer is. You know what I mean? You watch Savannah Marshall fight, you can tell that Fury's dad trains her. You never see a girl on her toes with that lead shoulder down, has that jab here. I thought I love watching Savannah Marshall's style, because it's like we're watching a female Tyson Fury with that real awkward style, even her facial expressions and the shit she talks in the fight. I think, being gone for 2 years, even though she was doing MMA, I don't know if the announcers brought this up, but when you go from boxing to MMA, it might look the same, but you literally have to retool or learn footwork and movement patterns. And, if we want to get scientific, neuroplasticity, the way our brain neural pathways fire, left brain, right brain, left brain, boxing's a specific movement pattern. MMA is a specific movement pattern. I'm not making excuses. I wonder if they brought that up. I didn't bet on that fight. I like DJ. It's so awkward, but there's something when she's flowing, like the first 3 rounds, awkward, jab, move. I got time for it. Yeah, it's so awkward. It's hard to prepare for. And Shadesha, hats off to Shadesha, a former basketball player. She's a dog. I think that's that same weight class as Siobhan. I always forget her name. I think she's in The girl with 3, Siobhan Vernon, I think. She just fought. She didn't look too good. 39. I think she has 3 of the 4 belts in that division, maybe, if I'm remember correctly. We just saw her fight 2 weeks ago. Fury's my favorite heavyweight. Yeah, all right, I can see that, man. I can see that. You did, guys. David Eister did say. Now, what? It's just like politics. It's a conspiracy theory in politics until time passes, and a lot of times these conspiracy theories. Yeah, Cruz Discern. Thanks, Rich. And then these conspiracy theories become truth, right? So last week, when I got David Eister in the live chat saying that Puello's probably going to do enough to win, but based on the promotions and Matias truly being the A side, in a close decision, they're going to give it to Matias. That sounds like a conspiracy to me. He was saying it all week. He was. I got hats off to Eister. And then sure enough, as it went to the cards, I was like, surely this isn't going to get taken from him. I mean, I had Puello up by at least 2 rounds, especially those late rounds. Yeah, Cruz Discern. I wasn't going to say it, GOAT. I wasn't going to say it. That last performance. When you watch Cruz Discern, her last performance, when the announcers were just talking about her being a seamstress, I was like, damn, we wild. We wild. Whenever you're talking about a fighter in a fight. But she's a seamstress. She makes all of her clothes, and she's a really good sewer. Yeah, that's a hill I'll die on, boys. I don't mean to offend anyone, but earmuffs. I don't fuck with turkey. Earmuffs. I know we got some youngins in this group. You know, I don't be fucking with turkey. I don't trust the dude at all. I had Puello up at least 3. Matthias had. And is it just me, Kane? Or if we're also looking at optics, how a champion should end a fight, right? Kane's a boxer. And I know a lot of you boys on this stream have either boxed before or box. It's all about optics. You know what I'm saying? So, like, especially you're fighting for the belt. You want to become a champion. You're fighting the current champion. You want to end the fight looking good. It's what you train for. It's called the championship rounds for a reason. It's why you do extra road work. It's why you do extra rounds of sparring. It's why you do all those little things. You want to have the gas in the tank to look great at the end of the fight. I mean, the goal is always to look just as good at the end of the fight, if not better, than you do in round 1. Obviously, that's tough to do against world-class opponents. But if you take that in consideration, I don't think Matias did that. I don't. I thought that was all. I thought Puello, but, you know, Puello, call it what you will, Puello he fights a lot of close decisions. You know what I'm saying? He fights a lot of close decisions, and this time it burned him. Sandor Martin was a close one. GAR was a close one. Akhmedov was a close one. So, Koki, Fresh BX, I'm in the Dominican. DR. You guys know my love for Punta Cana. It was close fight. Could have gone either way. Yeah, same. Yeah, I'm not mad about Matias. Guys, just because I picked Puello, and you guys, the boxing heads will know, even if you don't like Matias, I guarantee nobody here on the stream would say, I don't tune in. Dude, he's a fun fighter to cheer for. His style, because his strengths, Matias' strengths, are what they are, his style overall going to accommodate more to the masses. We know that. A style like Puello, it accommodates to the person who, you know, really is looking for a specific thing in, you know, technique, game plans, executions, that sort of thing. So I understand. Me too. Matias, because he has that aura, you know, it's actually good to see Matias win a decision. I got to be honest with you, because I'm pretty sure that's his first decision win. And now putting sort of, because the haters are going to say he can't win a decision, right? And I wonder what those odds would have been. We asked earlier in the week, the Matias fans, we were like, all right, if you're taking Matias, what are the odds on him winning a decision? I think it was insane. I think the odds were really crazy. Matias would benefit from the fact to have a deal with IBF rehydration. Yeah, and Matias' style, I mean, he just, that prodding for, nah, bro, you know, but Matias is all action every time. Yeah, I agree. Guys, wherever you're tuning in, let's like this video. If you haven't already subscribed, do that for me as well. If you want in on our Boxing Insider group, if you could afford it, I'm not asking you guys to do it. A couple bucks a month gets you that as well. And so if you see some of the boys on the chat with that diamond, guys, I'm also releasing 2 more options for membership coming up this week. One of them has to do with, so my date, what I do for a living, how I do this for a living, but how I keep the lights on at the moment is I'm a strength and conditioning coach and a published author. So I run a business out of my house and online. So I'm gonna sprinkle in some of my coaching into an option to support the page. If you guys are interested, I'll do an announcement later in the week, just to give you a heads up. Should have been a lot in new but corrupt boxing. Boxing's always been corrupt, right? I thought Matias was losing later rounds. So okay. Guys, if you could get those cash out options, I know some betting apps won't allow a cash out option on certain parlays. I might be wrong with that. Because I know on my method of victories, so like the big ticket I hit was Shakur by decision and Berlanga to not go the distance. When Shakur hit, it doesn't even give me the option to cash out. But if that was a money line parlay, it would give me the option to cash out. So I think part of betting as well, part of winning a bet is knowing when to cash out and knowing when to not. I've been burned both ways before. The worst is when you see trends in a fight and you cash out just to be safe, and then you're wrong and you just lost like $900 because you reason with yourself. You're like, man, I'm gonna cash out and just keep my money, and then it goes the other way and you're like, damn, dude, they should give me my $900 back. But that works both ways. Matias' stamina normally good, but he started a lot quicker than usual. They should do that cash out. Last night was kind of rough. Yeah, like I said, my money line parlays were all cooked, but I did really well on my method of victories and locks. So my money line parlays is what I don't go heavy on those. So when I'm doing those long parlays, if you're listening to me on the money line, just don't put a lot of money on those. You would have also lost money if you cashed out. Guys, we're about 30 minutes in. Whenever you guys want to look ahead, dude, there are so many fights this week. I knew Hamsha would knock that low IQ clown out. Damn. I hit 190 for the fight not to go the distance. Playo couldn't get off to a good lead. Yeah, he never had a huge lead. But I still think I gave him more rounds. Bam versus Cafu going the distance. I mean, I think people are going to be... Cafu could fight, guys. Bam's opponent's a tough opponent. He could fight. I mean, there's Usyk, Dubois, Gary Russell Jr. is fighting. Mark Magsayo. I know a lot of you Filipino fans always message me about him. He's fighting. Ammo Williams. A lot of you guys like Ammo. He's fighting. Pitbull's fighting. Pacheco's fighting. Seb, Zoo, Bam, Barrios, Pacquiao. There's going to be a lot of interesting... Guys, I think where the money's going to be, if we're smart, is not necessarily going money line this week, because the last 4 weeks, I've been winning all my money on sort of method of victories. Will the fight go the distance or not? Decisions or stoppages. And that's kind of flip-flop, because before a month ago, I was winning all my money on money lines. And I started changing my structure. So some of the odds are crazy right now. Like Barrios at $1.34 on the money line. Alan Picasso's fighting. Some of you boys are high on him. And I'm still torn. Rob is exaggerated. You still know what I mean? Yeah. Ammo's on upset alert. I think Ammo's always on upset alert. I think Ammo Williams' entire career, he'll always be on upset alert because he's learning right in front of us. And that's no shade on Ammo. Ammo's an athlete who turned into a boxer. So we're watching a super talented, naturally gifted guy, young man, evolve right in front of us. And so I think Patrice Volney, in a different, I thought Patrick Volney might have been able to win that fight. Volney was up, in my opinion, even though I picked Ammo. So, in my opinion, there's certain guys that are always on upset alert. I think Ammo Williams is one of them. Tim Zoo not going the distance. Yeah, how do you guys feel about Zoo versus Fundora? Where are you guys leaning at right now on that fight? What's wild right now, the odds. Fundora's an underdog. Fundora's an underdog. And I know I had yeah, it's gonna be a tough one for me, considering my lead. What's the Zoo news? Yeah, the Zoo news is just that fresh. So I'll talk about it right now without giving away my source. But you guys know that from my perspective, people hit me up all the time on my email, on Instagram, private messaging, and whether it's like, hey, I'm a sharp better, or I know some insider info. A couple weeks ago, we hit on some insider info with the Jean Pascal fight, and then also the Christian Mabili fight. And so this is a different source. A boxer hits me up. A boxer hits me up 2 days ago on my Insta, and his gym mate was one of the sparring partners for Zoo, and he was telling me how he was asking his gym mate what he saw, what Tim looked like sparring. And he said, well, what they worked on a lot, the big game plan a lot, was Tim landing and using his jab at range. So when you watch Tim historically, he uses his jab to come in. He's not a guy who'll stand there and pop it at range. He's coming like boom, 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 marauding forward on that front foot. And he said that his jab, he's also adding his lead hook off of the jab. Tim is also a traditional 1-2 guy. Jab, jab, walk in, land that straight right hand. I guess he's been drilling boom, lead hook. So the reason why that would make a difference if he executes that game plan, it just changes up the movement patterns of Fundora. If Fundora's expecting jab 1-2 forward, he might run onto that lead hook. So take what you will. It gets a little bit more. The message had a little bit more into it. I haven't read it in 3 days, so take what you will about that. I have always said this is dating back to Murtazaev. This is dating back to after Tim fought Fundora. I've been saying the same thing about Tim that I want to see that I haven't seen. I didn't see it against Fundora. I didn't see it against Murtazaev. I didn't see it against Joey Spencer. Was that I want to see Tim make adjustments. I want to see Tim change his entrances up in the pocket. I want to see Tim add more head movement. I want to see Tim, be a little bit more dynamic on offense. And I just haven't seen it yet. And you mix that with Fundora, even though we haven't seen Seb since then either. But when you watch Fundora, his lifestyle. He literally built a gym. He has a gym on his property. It's a tough one to call right now. To say that Fundora is the underdog actually is shocking to me. I don't know. So I'm still torn on where to lean. Thanks, boxing fan. I appreciate you. I know somebody won, and I named the fights I got burned on. So yeah, there's a couple fights. Even a lot of the boys are quick to jump on Usyk versus Dubois. Right now, I'm not 100% sold on that fight either in terms of picking a winner. I know the majority, everyone's picking Usyk to just beat Dubois, especially when you look at the odds. But there's an argument there. There's an argument. Dubois a $3.20. Dubois a 3-1 dog. There's an argument for Dubois, who's won his last 3 since the Usyk fight, won by stoppage, 26, 27 years old. The younger dude, the bigger dude, has more confidence than he's ever had. I'm not 100% going to say that I like Usyk on the money line right now. So that's going to be an interesting fight. I think Usyk-Dubois, there might be a lot of money for maybe a knockdown prop. So Usyk-Dubois, let's see. Yeah, the props are already up on my book. Knockdown markets, total knockdowns, Usyk-Dubois. So $1.46. $1.46 Usyk-Dubois to have 1 knockdown. I mean, if you want to watch that fight with neutral eyes, and this is what I did, if you want to watch that fight with neutral eyes, Usyk-Dubois, all you need is 1 knockdown, $1.46. So, yeah, we'll see. We have a long week ahead of breaking these fights down. Guys, there's fights this Wednesday night in Australia. I'm going to. David Nikita's fighting. Nikita's the guy who, his biggest fight, he got stopped against Jaya Pataya. But also Paul Gallen is fighting Sonny Bill Williams. Gallen, for boxing heads, probably only know him for losing to Justice Huni. But Gallen also, he's fought Mark Hunt. These are both rugby guys. The rivalry in Australia has been around for over a decade. Gallen, Hall of Fame rugby player. Sonny Bill Williams, similar. And they've been, it's in the culture down here in Australia for the rugby guys to box. So it's a weird, it's a cool thing. It's something I really like. It'd be like in America if once a year or a couple times a year, all the NFL players had boxing events for just the NFL players during their careers. They do that down here. So this is where that rivalry started. Gallen versus Sonny Bill. I feel this fight should have probably taken place 10 years ago. You guys in America probably won't be able to. Maybe you'll get action on it. We'll see. Marvin, Stevenson, Haney, Hitchens, and all Mayweather wannabes will sidestep fighters like Matias. He would be like, well, considering Stevenson fights at 35, Matias fights at 40. Hitchens is a world champion. Hitchens would not. I think Hitchens beats Matias. To say sidesteps fighters like Matias, that's a crazy that's a crazy take, by the way, mate. Plant and Berlanga, they need to make it happen. I think that's the move, Plant Berlanga. I think that's a fight. Didn't Berlanga call out Plant and Charlo? Boxing fan. It's still day one, motherfucker. You got my book, man. Thank you for purchasing the book. Yeah, so my latest book, The 24-Hour Reset. That's some my wheelhouse, brother. I'm glad you got it. I'm glad you're reading it. I literally live my life that day, every day. A phrase I live my life by. It's still day one, motherfucker. Meaning that no matter how good your life is going, your fitness routine, your health, no matter how much you're feeling yourself, always have the mindset that each day you start over from baseline. You know, never get too high, never get too low. Matias won rounds 3, 4, 5. Oh, Berlanga after the fight didn't win. Okay. I mean, it has, dude, he just got embarrassed in his hometown. Berlanga is 28 years old. I mean, from my perspective, I'm 43. I look at Berlanga as a kid. You know what I'm saying? At 28 years old, I was a lunatic. I know at 28 years old, man, there's still a lot of, thank you, brother. There's still a lot of life to be learned. And so, you know, now when I was 28, seeing a guy like Berlanga, who would have been my age, how he acts, I understand a lot of the hate he gets. But I think part of our job to evolve as men is to sort of have a little bit more empathy, you know, with younger guys. So I'm never gonna hit a guy when they're down, especially a fighter who, you know, wears his heart on his sleeve, talks recklessly. I told you guys last week, I don't think Berlanga is the brightest dude, but he has to be crushed right now. You know what I'm saying? He has to be crushed right now. So I'm 43. I think grown ass men older than me, my age, who bash younger. He's a kid at 28, man. He's still a young man trying to learn life, and he's doing it in front of the public eye. Yeah, he's flashy. He says some crazy stuff, but at the end of the day, you know, he goes to sleep. You know what I'm saying? He has to stay. You know, he's alone here. We're all alone here at the end of the day, and I don't think. Yeah, I'm not gonna bash him for. And I'm not gonna bash any fighter for, you know, for losing a fight. He shouldn't be doing that. But babyface, he's selling fights, bro. What do you mean he should? So we're gonna be gatekeepers. So babyface, you want to be a gatekeeper on how somebody should be acting? Do you want somebody to gatekeep you on how you should be acting? Like I disagree with that take. That's another thing that I learned the older I got. Who am I to gatekeep somebody on what they should say, or they're being too cocky? Dude, being a boxer, being at the highest, and for Fresh BX's point, probably to prove Fresh BX's point, he said he was trash. He said he was overrated. David Eiser says he was overrated. A lot of people say he's overrated. How did he get those fights then? By talking and being cocky. You see what I'm saying? It's a business. It's a business, and hopefully he's made generational wealth. You know, because that's what I cheer for. Hopefully he's made generational wealth, and I think he probably has if he invests right. I don't hope he goes away. No way, David. Characters like Berlanga are great for the sport. Characters, love him or hate him, characters like Berlanga, great for the sport, great for boxing. I hope he stays around another 10 years. I got to be honest with you. David, how can you say Khatiev got a shaky chin? Morel. Yeah, Morel was hitting that chin on. Yeah, shaky chin. I think if anything, Khatiev has a leaky ass defense. Berlanga is a gatekeeper. 28 gatekeeper, man. He'll probably take that, right? I didn't get dropped on some of them. Dude, Khatiev, like I said, look, we talked about a lot. His neck is like that. Yeah, Marcus, agree. So 100% Marcus. That's finishing the point I was trying to make. When your talk game, when your shit talk game, gets neutralized by your lack of performance, then you got to be open to getting hate. But I do understand he doesn't want to talk to anybody. David Moreau should have lost. I disagree. I have Moreau winning. Berlanga is stepping stone for Pacheco. Guys, Pacheco might be the real deal. I still need to see more. He's young. But I like how, Johnny, I don't know what you said before, but you bet we'll go with the Pacquiao Barrios fight. Boxing fan, my boy. Yeah. Pacquiao Barrios, Johnny, you legit yeah, I did. Probably because I had him on my lock and I went super heavy on him, fresh. I did. He got dropped in the 5th. It was a close fight, fresh. It was a close fight. I'm glad he won. I'm glad they sided with my bet. It would have been a different tone for me today for sure. Yeah, and how come no one's talking about Khatiev shouldn't have been boxing either? If we really want to get devil's advocate or karma. Khatiev was supposed to be on a 2-year suspension. How come no one's talking about that? Even the announcers had him losing. Babyface. Even the announcers? Come on, mate. We all know. You're talking to some boxing heads. We all know these announcers are la basura. No bueno. No inteligente. Nada. Morel lost. Actually, he won. I can show you my bank account, JCG. He did win. How were the fights last night? Pedro Cabrales. They were good, mate. They were good all weekend. I think the fights this week are going to be better. You guys are missing what juiced means. Juiced isn't Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jay Cutler, Ronnie Coleman training for Mr. Olympia. Juiced are EPOs, performance-enhancing drugs, masking agents, cardio receptors. So, yeah, there's definitely... You think Lance Armstrong, who is one of the most notorious PED users, was a bodybuilder? He was a cyclist. EPO, blood doping. Come on, baby. What you got this fight? I feel you, JCG. Who you got for Canelo Crawford? God damn it, babyface. I was waiting. It's too early. Ugh, that fight... Guys, since the Errol Spence Jr. fight, after Bud beat him, I knew I was going to have to pick a winner between Canelo and Crawford. I knew this. We knew this fight was going to go down. Let's talk about Barrios Pacquiao. How do you feel about Sheeraz? Yeah, Pedro. Sheeraz, how do I feel about him? If I was Sheeraz, I would stay away from Benny. I would stay away from Canelo. I still need to see more from Sheeraz. Puello should face Russell again. Take that title from unify. Well, they would unify. Great point, Marcus. I'm not gonna say he would win, but you said Puello should fight Matias. Puello should fight GAR again. I thought you said Matias should fight GAR. Guys, look at our champions at 40. Matias, GAR, Teofimo, and Hitchens. Mate, we should have a round robin tournament or sort of like a champion bracket tournament style. That's what we do. I want to see all those matchups. I want to see Hitchens, and then I agree with Paulie. Barrios is no bueno, but man, I want to see Hitchens versus GAR. I want to see GAR versus Matias. I want to see Teofimo versus GAR. I want to see Teofimo versus Matias. Guys, you could put any of the champions right now. I would be stoked. Sheeraz versus Eubank Jr. I don't hate that, but I'm pretty sure Eubank is signed to fight Ben again, which I don't want to see. What's your early bet for Usyk? Ziggy, what's up, buddy? Winner method. I'm breaking these fights down this week. Time for that, Doug. Robbery. Check who goes in there and stops McCumbie. I don't think Sheeraz. Yeah, people are talking about Sheeraz to beat Canelo. Toxic, man. The one thing you boys don't know is I grew up dancing, boy. Agreed. Berlanga got robbed. Berlanga got robbed. So that's the best comment today. Man, Berlanga got robbed, man. I'm still salty about Berlanga, man. The judges did him dirty. That was a short count, you know, but no, we're kidding. We're kidding. Guys, wherever you are, like this video. We're going between 60 and 80 people. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Berlanga got robbed. A truck could hit him in my chin. Yeah, man. I guess that truck is named Hamza Sheeraz, the Australian women. You saw that comment? You saw that comment? Hitchens or Teo won't fight Subriel. Guys, I think Hitchens and Subriel. Why wouldn't Hitchens fight Subriel? Berlanga was like, yeah. Why wouldn't Hitchens fight Subriel? Why do you guys think that he wouldn't fight Subriel? How old's Subriel now? Is Subriel 35? Subriel Matias might be 42 years old. How old is he? Oh, he's only 33. I'm tripping. Barrios. Guys, there's a lot of fights this week that we're going to have to break down. What do you guys... I'm shocked, though, that Fundora is the underdog against Tim. Guys, I'm going to have to break down Barrios and Pacquiao, but I'm probably not betting on that fight. Met the Australian Loma. Autocorrect is nasty work. Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to bet money on Barrios and Pacquiao. I'm obviously breaking it down for my channel, and I have to give you guys a winner. It's hard for me to see 46-year-old Manny beating Barrios. I think I'd be disrespecting the game if I said Barrios was going to lose to Pacquiao. I got to be honest with you. Probably the distance. He could. That's what worries me is the gas tank. "12 rounds, 46 years old. Isn't Barrios only 30 years old? You want him to retire if he loses? Why would he retire? I'm confused. Why would Barrios retire if he loses to Manny? How old's Mario? Mario's only 30, dude. He just turned 30. He was 29 last month. Do boxing math here. Mario beat Ugas. I don't do boxing math. The spirit of George Foreman. Guys, but George Foreman was a heavyweight. You know what I'm saying? George Foreman was a heavyweight who relied on his power. Pacquiao relied on his athleticism. He's 46. Don't get that twisted. All of a sudden, you think Pacquiao is going to turn into George Foreman, parrying the jab and just taking shots off the dome piece? He is an athlete. Exactly. Godson, I feel you. They declined a fight when, maybe they weren't champions at the time. Yeah, I don't forget that, Julius. How do you forget that? That was hard to watch. Yeah, like I said, I have to pick a winner, but I don't know if I'm betting on it. This Barrios Pacquiao fight is too close, too adjacent to Jake Paul fighting. No shade on Pacquiao, but when I hear Pacquiao fighting Barrios for the title, I start thinking about Jake Paul fights. I don't know why. So I don't bet on Jake Paul fights. Asians age differently, though. Skate and Review bring in ethnicity, geographical differences, topography to the equation. Genetics. You got Koki. Congrats. Probably going with Barrios. Don't you have to go with Barrios? Why would anybody pick... Why? What's your reasoning on picking Manny? You think Usyk by stoppage is a good bet? I like the knockdown prop, Steel Cage. I like over and under 0.5 knockdowns. The over is $1.48. Yeah, I'm not happy about Dalton Smith. What is this agenda with? You obviously could see. We know about Eddie Hearn in the UK. We know about punk ass Turkey Al Sheik. Bringing Dalton Smith into the ring, like, no shade on Dalton, but Dalton looked average against Matthew Germain 2 months ago. So you look average, I think, against Matthew Germain in a feature card built around you in your hometown, and you're fighting a domestic club guy, Matthew Germain, and you get brought over to New York City and featured, and you get a world title shot against Mati. I mean, obviously we know why that happens, because they're serving Dalton to Matthias. They're just serving him. Barrios is tall. Barrios is long. I think they list him at 5'11", maybe. Do they list him at 6 feet? Yeah, no, he's listed at 6 feet tall. Yeah, Dalton's ranked high. I mean, I watch a lot of Dalton Smith, guys. I covered Dalton. I covered Dalton on this channel. Turkey's a punk. Turkey. I don't be messing with Turkey. Yeah, so obviously that's like a handshake. Turkey and Hearn, they got their own sort of thing going behind the scenes. They're trying to fool the boxing community with, like, yeah, bringing Dalton Smith on board. They think, but the Brits think he's the next real guy. But how many times, guys, have we seen this? How many coming from the UK? How many times have we been told this guy from the UK is the next big thing? PJ, they've feeding Smith to the wolves, baby. Ain't that the truth? Maybe Smith, Smith's last performance, he had an off night, call it what you will. When he looks good we've seen him look good against sort of this sort of level. But Matthew Germain was this sort of level. He's supposed to starch Matthew Germain. No, Dalton is not as. I don't think Dalton's as slick as Perro. Yeah, Azim. He's not Azim. Look, Dalton's not a pushover, but I don't know if Dalton. I'm always. You know me, guys. I'm always hesitant with the Brits. I was the same thing I'm going to say about Dalton is the same thing I said about Sheeraz. And the same thing I still say about Sheeraz. I'm still not sold on Sheeraz. Have we forgotten? The last one that came over, in my opinion, was a draw. I can only remember when Josh Kelly came to the Garden to fight Ray Robinson, and he was a 3-1 favorite, and he fought to a draw. And then they never brought Josh back, which I think is a shame. And now, Kelly went on to lose to Avenetian, but I don't think he's gonna be problems at 68, man. I'm not sold on Sheeraz either, dude. I think that I don't like his style. I gotta be honest with you. Ricky Hatton, Leo Smith, Dalton not ready for that pressure. Yeah, Matthias's pressure makes me nervous. Like it gives me anxiety when I'm betting against him. It's just sort of zombie-like, and he's like. Dalton has a bit of heat. Dalton's athletic. He's not slow. He's athletic. Dalton's athletic. We'll see, Kiza. Maybe you're right. We'll see. I'm not ordaining. The same reason you guys picked Hamza to beat Berlanga and made me burn for it, I'm not ordaining Hamza as the next guy at 68 because he beat Ed. That's all I'm saying. And if my math is right from what you've been telling me all week, the ones who picked Hamza, you should be agreeing with me, right? I would love to see Sheeraz versus Morrell. Now, if Sheeraz beats Morrell, that's a great fight. I would love to see Sheeraz versus Morrell. For real. Dude, throw Ohio in there, Julius. Not just Philly and New York. Come to Cleveland. Come to Youngstown. I know some boys in the Yo who throw hands with these guys for sure. Carlos Vargas. Why was Serrano doing what Johnny? Dude, Serrano did everything I thought she was going to do. I just didn't get the decision. I thought Serrano lost a little bit of her identity, though, by being, changing her game plan up. I wanted to see OG Serrano. But Billy wouldn't just give him problems. I think Boo Boo beats Sheeraz. I think Demetrius beats. I mean, give him a. I heard someone said Sheeraz reminds them of Kelly Paddock. I could see tall, lanky. I'm not. Maybe. We'll see how. We'll see. Sheeraz needs to show me more. Yeah, I was gonna say. That's why I was like, now that you mention it, not a bad shot. You guys know I'm biased towards Kel though. So you guys know that's my man. He's actually right there. What's up, Hab? And Billy has got one hell of a motor. Yeah. 40-2, 34 knockouts. His only 2 losses were outside of the division, too. Lost to Sergio and B-Hop. I just watched the Sergio versus Paul Williams knockout again, guys. Holy shit. Dude, talk about one of the most unorthodox knockout punches I think has ever been landed in boxing. Was, if you guys haven't watched it, watch. And Paul the Punisher Williams was a real freaking problem. Paul was one of my favorite fighters. Paul fought Sergio Martinez and got one punch stopped in a brutal knockout. And it was one of the most unorthodox hooks I've ever seen in my life. Martinez slips here and throws his hook from here and catch it. It was such an insane angle. Yeah, it was such an insane angle. So, Carlos, this is, we're going to get, I'm uploading today. I'm uploading my first fight for this week. Yeah, so we have fights in Australia Wednesday night. I'm going to do the Aussie fans, the Aussie subscribers. I'm going to do them a solid and upload my breakdown of Gallen versus Sonny Bill. And then I'm going to get right into, Raul, I'm gonna get right into the weekend's fights. Yeah, Paul got into a bike crash. We know that, man. That was sad. I always say 2 of the fights that I wish would have got made that got signed that didn't happen were Paul versus Kelly and then Kelly versus Andre Ward. Those 2 fights were supposed to go down. Quintana was a tough and tricky southpaw to opposite victory over Paul Williams. We got blasted in the rematch. Yeah, Paul the Punisher. Tall, lanky, rangy. Yeah, we got to get these likes up, boo-boo. Well, think about what happened with, Chico. One of my favorite fighters. Also, Chico died in a bike crash. Such a shame. Every now and then, it's weird. I always catch myself. Maybe it's just me. I'll always find myself every now and then on YouTube watching old Diego Corrales interviews. Yeah, Diego is a special fighter. It still bums me out about Chico passing away how he did. But he was on his path, redeemed. We know about he had gone to jail, redeeming himself in the public eye, how he fought. Yeah, that bummed me out. Bam versus Cafu, early prediction. What's up, Skate Review? I just think that fight's going to be closer than people think. I think people should watch some more tape on Cafu. Julius, I agree. Cafu's a good fighter, mate, and he's going into that fight to win. Kameda's fighting this weekend. There's some good. There's also good fights flying under the radar. I know a lot of you boys like Maxeo. So we have this boxing group I never promote on Facebook. It was at 120,000 subs on Facebook, but then it disappeared and I had to start over. I got it up to 37,000 on Facebook. And the Facebook people love Maxeo. It's insane. Where does Castillo versus Chico rank? Just that, was it round 9 or round 10? With the famous, you got to stop him now. What are you going to do with that? And then, god damn, it was insane, man. Run this parlay. Pudgems in the house. Pudgems, message me that parlay. Yeah, top 5. Same, JCG, same. Yeah, that look. You got it? God damn. I put that fight up. I put Castillo Corrales up there with Mickey Ward versus Arturo Gotti 1. I really also like Michael Nunn versus James Toney. James Toney versus the Body Snatcher, Mike McCallum. Guys, I don't know. James Toney fights are some of my favorite. I always talk about it. I love watching James Toney highlights. Like I said, 1991 James Toney, 92, 93 James Toney. I think he was fighting at either 160 or 168. Gotti used to flip up those seats. Yo, the thing about Arturo Gotti too, when you watch his Hagler Hearns classic, it wasn't the first round of Hagler. Was it the first round? Oh yeah, and then it got stopped in the second, I think, or the third. But the thing about Arturo Gotti, which was one of my favorite things, is that when you look at Arturo Gotti and you look how he would fight, he was a beautiful boxer. I mean, his footwork, his jab, his movement, his rhythm, a gorgeous boxer, the optic of boxing. Gotti had ticked every box, dude. And then you would see him just get lured into dog fights. And obviously we know nothing rings more true than in round 3 of Gotti Ward 1, when Gotti was outboxing Ward, boxing his socks off, going into the fight. Everybody knew that Ward's only strength at the time was his body rips. And Gotti's doing what he wants. And then I think it was at the end of round 3, he gets hit with a shot. And it changes the tide of the fight and turned it into a dog fight. And you could hear, I think it's Gotti's coach screaming, "Box, Arturo! Box! Box, Arturo! Stop fighting!" And from that point on, once Gotti gets hit, he throws all that beautiful boxing out the window, and he's fighting in a dog fight. And that is why people loved him. Win or lose, like whatever, the scorecards don't matter. When you see a fighter just do that and give everything in him to the fans and to his opponent, god damn, he was fun to watch. I think it was I think he fought Angel Manfredi, Arturo Gotti, Angel Manfredi. People forget another name. Nobody talks about Angel Manfredi. Manfredi was a monster, dude. These are guys. So like I said, I was born in the early 80s. And so I started my first boxing match live. I was 4. My dad took me to see Boom Boom Mancini because Ray Mancini was from my hometown, Youngstown, Ohio. It was either in 86 or 87. I was either 4 or 5 to watch Mancini fight. And from that point, and then my dad took me to a boxing gym when I was 7. So, I remember watching these fights as a young boy. And Manfredi, dude, when he would be on, when Manfredi would be on ESPN and Top Rank, I think it was Friday Night Fights. What year was that when he fought? Yeah, Manfredi stopped Arturo in the 8th in 1998. I was 16. I was more heartbroken at 16 when Manfredi stopped Gotti than I was when Floyd stopped Gotti. Because by the time Floyd fought Gotti, that would have been Floyd fought him in 2005. So Floyd fought Gotti in 2005, but Manfredi fought him in 98. And, man, YouTube, watch Angel Manfredi highlights. Damn, that 90s era, dude. Like we talked about Tony and then, some of the other guys. And, goddamn, Thunder vs. Lightning. Man, boxing's the best sport in the world, dude. Boxing's the Ivan Robinson fights. Fucking De La Hoya stopping Gotti. He cut a lot of weight, too. Gotti was always... kind of a big 135 or 140 guy. But shameful how I did a documentary that got taken down by YouTube about all the controversy going into how Gotti got found in that Brazilian hotel by allegedly he took his own life. But yeah, Kurt City. But I think it wasn't for Gotti. It was a great boxer. Bam has ever fought. Pittsburgh kid, Paulie Spadafora, 49-1. Paulie Spadafora, 49-1, dude. Unfortunately, his claim to fame was those 6 rounds of sparring against Floyd. Tapia. People always laugh at me how I say that last name. Tapia. I just came. How do you like De La Hoya? Mayorga, legendary. People disrespect. Yeah, Gotti was not a club fighter, guys. Arturo Gotti would pack houses out. Arturo Gotti, man, this dude was instant action, at the level of whenever Gotti would fight, everything from his walkout to how he would look going into a fight, how he would fight. He was not a club level guy. Dude, Arturo Gotti's a legend, Hall of Famer. Put some respect on his name for sure. But what was the fight you just before that comment? De La Hoya is another one that these new kids have no idea about. Oscar De La Hoya, god damn. His skills, his speed, his reflexes, how he fought. De La Hoya was a joy to watch. Watch De La Hoya's highlights. Watch his knockouts. Watch what he would do in a ring. Oscar was that dude for a long time, mate. People just judge him on him as a promoter, him and fit. Dude, a guy who's an alpha putting fishnets on with a fucking dime piece in a hotel room, I'm all about it, dude. Not the fishnet bit, but De La Hoya did that at the time as a alpha sort of, like, the dude is a savage, dude. These guys are fighting in a blood sport. They're just savages all around. De La Hoya was the man, dude. Absolutely the man. And, it doesn't take a lot of film study to know, yeah, I mean, they're wild people, Fresh PX. They're the De La Hoya Trinidad fight. I was at a house party in high school. I think that happened in either 98 or 99. I was a junior in high school. I was at this kid Jason Gray's house. He had a house party. We had the fight going on. One of those old school projector screens in the backyard, late 90s. I had all my money on, that's the fight where De La Hoya stopped fighting. De La Hoya, I talked about it on the stream before. Wasn't that the fight the first 4, 5, 6 rounds? De La Hoya was, controlling everything, doing what he wanted, and then he got to this huge lead, and then he kind of sat on the lead, and he stopped executing his game plan, and he tried coasting to a victory. It was insane. Tito, goddamn Tito was fun to watch too, man. Felix Trinidad, put some respect on Felix Trinidad's name. Holy shit. Everything, how he fought. Yeah, that would have been in 90. All right, so 99, I was right. My mind's still there. Yeah, he lost a majority decision. He lost that decision because he took the foot off the brakes. It was kind of bizarre. It's a head scratcher to this day when you watch. And now granted, Felix is a 42-3, 35 knockouts. I think Oscar definitely just made a decision around the 5th or 6th round to say that, hey, he put himself in harm's way long enough. He won a lot of these rounds. I'm going to take a decision. Yeah, Tito, one of the best left hooks in the game. One of the best left. That's why it's hard for me when people start. And this is no shade on the Young Bucks. Young Bucks, I mean Ryan Garcia. Young Bucks, I mean Devin Haney. Young Bucks, I mean Tank. When they start, putting somebody tried saying the 4 Kings a couple years ago, and they were talking about Tank, Garcia, Devin, and I think Shakur, and I'm like, get the hell out of here! How dare you disrespect Sugar Ray, Duran, Hagler, and Hearns by saying that these guys are, and that's no shade. I mean, and then with the left hooks, comparing Garcia to Tito, in my opinion, is absolutely insane, dude. This is insane to me. People forget, recency bias. Go watch your film study. Them boys built different. Mike McCallum, the Body Snatcher. To this day, one of my favorite nicknames in boxing history, the Body Snatcher. Philip Murillo, keep up the gore. I appreciate you, Philip Murillo. Thanks for, I appreciate the support too. You're a new fan here. Thank you, McCallum. The Body Snatcher, mate. Come on. Pac-Man might even shock the world. See, Manny, we have to hesitate, though, with not being too romantic about Pac-Man. You got to, if you're betting, you got to be calm. You got to be hesitant, because as boxing fans, we're hopeless romantics. I'm sure a lot of you boys could agree with me on that. It probably trickles down into your intimate life, your personal life. I'm the type of guy to make dinner for my girl. I like slow dancing. I grew up listening to R&B. My point is, we're romantics about boxing too. And who doesn't want to see Manny roll the clock back and look like Manny of old? Guys, he's 46 years old. You know what I mean? And what did he do good in his prime? He was an athlete, athleticism, speed. He's not a heavyweight, so it's not like a George Foreman at 46 who relied on his power, parrying the jab, boom, his resilience. This isn't that. So be very cautious if you're betting money on Manny Pacquiao. And if anything, yeah, Michael's second to none. One of my favorite fighters. Michael's second. Also, Matthew said Muhammad. Do you know Miracle Matthew? Nobody talks about Miracle Matthew, man. People from Philly on this chat. Philly, one of my favorite Philly fighters of all time. Matthew said Muhammad. His nickname was Miracle Matthew. Became a world champion. Look at his story. Miracle Matthew said Muhammad, was abandoned on the side of a highway in Philly when he was 2 years old. 2 years old. Convent nuns, Catholic convent nuns, found him abandoned on the side of the road, brought him in, and raised him. And he went on to he started his life with, should have probably ended it too based off the recklessness of whoever his parents were, and went on to become a legend in the sport, man. Doesn't get his flowers. Nobody talks about him. One of my favorite stories in boxing of all time. Matthew Said Muhammad, Miracle Matthew. God damn it. What a legend out of Philly. People forget, like I could go back, but, being born in 1982, my knowledge doesn't just start and stop right now in this era. Like, I'm a nerd when it comes to the sport. And we once again back to the romantics of the sport. It's all about stories. You guys cheering for Manny. We want him to turn the clock back. But what other sport we have stories like Said Muhammad? What's up, Jerzo? So guys, we are going over an hour here. I gotta get ready. It's going on 8 a.m. I got a deadlift. I got deadlifts right now. I got some body weight hanging, some knee raises, some push-ups. I do a mix of, today I'm doing some mix of calisthenics. The meat and potatoes is a 1 rep max deadlift. At 43, just to give you a heads up, I weigh about 79 kilos. My 1 rep max on my deadlift is 218.5 kgs. So I'm not gonna work there, but I'm gonna start at 202.5 being my 1 rep max, and we're tailoring down. So I'm gonna start at 140.5 for 5 reps. Do that for 5 times, and then hit 52.5, 62.5, 72.5, 82.5, 92.5, until I get to 202.5 for 1 rep. My meat and potatoes, I'm a strength and conditioning coach. I have to go do that, or I get to go do that in 20 minutes. Stay tuned to the channel. I'm uploading the breakdown analysis and predictions for all the fights coming up starting this afternoon. If you're new to the channel, like this, hit subscribe. If you want to become a member, Johnny says VIP Boxing Insider. If you can afford it, it's a couple bucks a month. That helps me out as well. Just go to my channel. Right where you hit subscribe, it says join, and you'll become part of that group as well. You get parlays, locks of the weeks. You get a lot of boxing betting insider info. Stay tuned. This was a good chat. I appreciate you.